The summit chamber was a feat of alien arrogance and architectural showmanship. An enormous crystalline dome, suspended above the atmosphere of Alari Prime by gravity anchors that hummed faintly like a sleeping giant with indigestion. Below, the clouds boiled in lavender spirals. Above, a transparent ceiling shimmered with shifting constellations, some of which didn't exist on any human star map. The floating chamber was meant to inspire awe, unity, and peace between the Alari Dominion and the Terran Union. Instead, it inspired Alex Rahan's stomach to consider diplomatic revolt. He stood at the very edge of the human delegation's platform, sweating into the collar of a suit 2 sizes too stiff, and staring across the expanse at the alien queen. She stood on her own raised dais, flanked by guards in golden armor and surrounded by advisors who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else, preferably 1,000 light years from humans. And then, everything stopped. The Queen's voice, calm and polished in the universal translator feed, faltered mid-sentence. Her violet eyes, which up until now had the emotional depth of frozen metal, suddenly widened. She stared at him. No, locked onto him. Like a targeting system deciding whether to blast or scan. "This can't be," she said. Not shouted, not whispered, just said like someone had punched through her protocols and hit something raw underneath. A soundless silence fell across the chamber as she clutched something in her hands, a small, egg-shaped artifact pulsing with a faint inner light. As she held it aloft, it began to glow more intensely, like it had just realized it was late for something important. Alex didn't move, not because he was terrified, which, yes, was about 67% of it, but because he had absolutely no idea what else to do. The object's glow intensified the closer she stepped, illuminating her face. Sharp features, high cheekbones, and ears that curved delicately to fine points like ancient musical instruments. She was almost human, almost. She moved toward him. He said, because eloquence had apparently filed for resignation. "Do you remember me?" she asked, halting just a breath away, the artifact now pulsing in rhythm with something. Maybe his heartbeat, maybe his panic. I'm sorry," he managed. "I think you might have me confused with someone else, or possibly a toaster. I get that a lot." The Alari nobles murmured like they were watching a drama unfold, half scandalized, half salivating. One of the human delegates, Ambassador Keen, whispered fiercely into his calm, "Don't antagonize her, Ren. Do not antagonize royalty." She asked if I remembered her. What's the safe answer there? Yes, no, only on weekends. To everyone's surprise, including probably her own, the Queen's lips twitched upward. Not a full smile. Alari royalty likely considered those public health hazards, but definitely a deviation from the usual solemn expression. "Your sarcasm is unrefined," she said, inspecting him like an ancient riddle that had grown legs and walked into her courtroom. "But oddly familiar." The artifact flashed. Several of the Alari guards twitched, gripping their pulse staves. The object clearly didn't like tension. Or maybe it liked it too much. Either way, Alex decided staying still was preferable to being tasered by alien royalty in front of 33 interstellar media outlets. "Okay, what is that thing?" he asked, nodding toward the artifact. "Because it's either detecting my blood sugar or scanning for unpaid parking violations, and frankly, I'm worried about both." The Queen didn't answer immediately. Instead, she studied him, not with hostility, but with the unnerving focus of someone trying to find the ghost of a memory in a stranger's eyes. She lifted the object again. It hovered from her palm and drifted toward him, slowly, like it was nervous too. When it reached his chest, it halted. Light spiraled outward, dancing along his shirt in lines of alien code. The characters rearranged themselves as if searching for a match. Then, suddenly, it spoke. "Genetic resonance confirmed. Identity marker partial match. Initiating memory link." "Oh no," Alex muttered. "I've seen enough holovids to know this is where someone gets possessed." The light surged. The chamber dimmed. Every holographic projection in the room flickered and died. The artifact released a hum that bypassed ears and went straight into the bones. A holographic image bloomed above it, a tall figure with long ears and dark robes holding a child. The image pulsed once, twice, and then shattered. Gasps echoed from every direction. The artifact dropped suddenly into Alex's hands, where it cooled instantly, like it had just decided you deal with this now. Alex stood there holding what might be the galaxy's most politically destabilizing egg. "I would very much like someone to explain what just happened," he said, voice rising slightly. The Queen tilted her head. "So would I." And just like that, the summit was over. 30 minutes later, Alex found himself in what could only be described as the Ilari version of a very serious room. The walls were dark and pulsing with faint bioluminescent tendrils, the kind of thing humans would normally run screaming from. A floating orb emitted soft ambient noise, like whale songs mixed with startup chimes. He wasn't sure if it was meant to relax him or slowly reprogram his brain. Across from him, Queen Selari sat poised but clearly unsettled, the artifact now dormant on the table between them. "This object is called the Telenar core," she said. "It was believed lost during the Great Collapse millennia ago. It responds only to a very specific genetic signature, one that no longer exists in the Dominion." "Well," Alex said, "looks like someone forgot to update the registry." She didn't laugh. Not exactly, but there was a flicker, an acknowledgement that he was not the usual flavor of nuisance she encountered. She leaned forward. "I believe you carry remnants of Ilari heritage," she said. "Possibly a splinter lineage seeded during the Rift Exile. The core does not lie." "Okay, cool, quick question. What's a Rift Exile, and does it come with dental?" She blinked slowly. The Rift Exile was a secret migration. A faction of Ilari, foreseeing war, escaped through uncharted wormspace corridors. They sought a distant, primitive world to hide the last royal seedlines. The records were lost. We assumed extinction. We never considered that you left your royal DNA on Earth like a bad prom date. Selari inhaled sharply. "You speak too freely." I panic joke. "It's a defense mechanism. You should see me in job interviews." The orb on the ceiling suddenly emitted a soft ding. She ignored it. "If you truly carry Ilari royal heritage," she continued, "then your existence challenges the very foundations of our current regime. And if the core has chosen you—" Alex raised an eyebrow. "Does that make me what, space royalty? Because I'm gonna need a cape and probably some hazard pay." "You are a link," she said simply, "between two worlds, perhaps more." Alex slumped back. "Well, that's just great. I can barely link my calendar to my kitchen AI." He glanced down at the Telenar core. It sat there, inert and smug, like it knew everything and had chosen not to tell him because he wasn't ready yet. "What now?" he asked. She stood, her robes flowing around her like ink in water. "Now we test the truth. The core must be taken to the Vault of Spires. If it opens, you are what it believes you to be. And if it does—" She paused. "Then you'll have ruined a very expensive diplomatic gathering and possibly reignited an ancient war. But no pressure." Alex groaned and rubbed his temples. "This is why I don't go to work parties." Her eyes sparkled just slightly. Then she turned, signaling the guards. "Prepare the journey," she said. "The vault will decide." As Alex followed, the core humming faintly against his chest, he realized two things. First, he was probably in way over his head. Second, if this was how space royalty worked, someone really needed to update the training manual. Somewhere in the temperamental belly of the Dominion's capital city, a place where the streets floated, the buildings rearranged themselves every evening, and getting lost was not just possible but practically mandatory. Alex Rehan found himself standing on what he hoped was solid ground. It shimmered faintly. There were runes carved into it, and it was humming. "Just to be clear," he said, backing away slightly, "we're not standing on a sentient floor, right? Because I've had a really complicated week, and I don't need my flooring judging my emotional stability." "Do you always talk this much?" Queen Selari asked, arms folded behind her back, as if she were merely observing a minor disruption in the diplomatic schedule rather than risking an encounter with a potentially civilization-shaking artifact. Only when surrounded by things older than Earth's tectonic plates and glowing with ominous energy, Alex said. So, you know Mondays. They were inside the Reliquary of Breaths, a vault beneath the surface, only accessible by molecular key, blood clearance, and a security code composed entirely in harmonic frequencies. It had taken the Queen's vocal cords 3 full minutes of singing into the locking mechanism to get them inside, and Alex was pretty sure half of the notes she hit weren't physically possible for a human larynx. "I don't like that name," Alex said. "Reliquary of Breaths. It sounds like a place that steals your soul or hands out minty candy, possibly both." "It is one of our oldest vaults," Celari replied. "It contains fragments of Alari memory, and something older." "Older than the Alari?" She didn't answer. Alex gave the floor one last suspicious glance, still humming, probably not hungry, yet. They passed through a corridor lined with containment fields. Inside each field floated a different object, some dull, some pulsing faintly, others shifting shape as if refusing to settle into any one form. One orb looked exactly like a mechanical pineapple with legs. It turned to watch them as they walked by. "Did that?" "Yes." He picked up his pace. Eventually, the corridor opened into a circular chamber. The walls were covered in cascading symbols that shimmered like oil on water. At the center hovered a containment shell. Inside it sat a small, irregular prism. It flickered, not with light but with anti-light. A space where light wasn't, like someone had taken a chunk of midnight and folded it into sharp edges. "This," said Celari, "is the Selen prism. It predates our empire, possibly your species." "Well, that's comforting. It looks like the kind of thing that demands blood sacrifices, and then critiques your haircut." "It is a data shard," she continued. "Not technological, not in the way we understand. It remembers, it binds, it's reactive to presence." Alex raised a finger. "Sorry, did you say binds? As in, sticks to you forever until you become a howling void of cosmic madness binds." She approached the containment shell and placed her hand on the field. A pulse echoed outward. The prism stirred. It turned once, paused, then turned again, this time faster, as if sniffing the air, except it had no nose and probably no lungs. The humming from the floor increased. Symbols on the wall shifted. Alex took a step back. That's enough foreshadowing for me. I've seen this movie." The nerdy guy touches the ancient object and wakes up an interdimensional jellyfish that speaks in riddles and eats brains. "You are very concerned with consumption," Celari observed, turning to him. "I was raised on horror flicks and bad cafeteria food. It's genetic." She touched a panel, and the containment field dropped with a sigh like a dying breeze. The prism dropped too suddenly and soundlessly, hovering just above the pedestal. Alex took another step back. Then the prism moved. It zipped straight to him. Nope. Too late. The object halted inches from his chest and hung there. Its surface began to rearrange, smooth angles shifting into geometric patterns, shapes flowing across its surface like language trying to remember itself. And then a voice. Low, echoing. Not male or female, not mechanical or natural, something other. Anchor confirmed, initiating chain-link memory stream, processing ancestral convergence. Alex raised both hands. "Whoa, hold the convergence. I didn't sign up for any chain links, not unless we're talking about fence installation." The prism flared, and everything changed. He wasn't in the vault anymore. He stood on a frozen plain under a sky with 3 moons. Massive obelisks jutted out of the ice, covered in the same alien runes he'd seen in the vault. Before him stood a woman with long ears and eyes that gleamed with violet light. But it wasn't Celari. The woman held a staff carved from crystal and humming with the same eerie tone as the prism. "You are the seedling of divergence," she said. "You carry 2 histories, one dead, one denied, one waiting." Alex blinked, I'm just visiting. Possibly lost, definitely underqualified. She reached out, and when her hand touched his chest, the ice plane fractured into 1,000 shards. He tumbled backward through visions, cities of light, stars blinking out, ancient warships shaped like spirals, people screaming in languages his brain couldn't translate. And then darkness. When he came to, he was on the floor of the vault. The prism lay beside him, dormant. Celari crouched nearby. You collapsed. Thanks, I hadn't noticed. Did the floor catch me, or did I just earn a concussion from ancient alien stone? You interfaced with the prism. He sat up slowly. I met someone. She said I was a seedling. Then everything went all opera trailer montage. Celari's expression changed. For once, it wasn't just composed royal concern. It was something more uneasy. Describe her. Same ears, staff, big cosmic speech. Very, we are not so different, you and I. Oh, and she touched my chest. No sparks, no lightning, just heart attack level dread. The ancient Alari never used the prism for communication, she murmured. They feared it, locked it away. They called it Selvarin, the memory whisperer. It binds not minds but bloodlines. Alex stared at the object. So you're saying this thing didn't just read my memories, it plugged into my family tree. I believe it has awoken a link between you and something older. He rubbed his face with both hands. Great, so I'm a cosmic USB stick. You're more than that, you're a carrier. Alex sighed. Do I at least get a badge? Or maybe a coupon? The prism shimmered faintly. A single rune appeared on its surface. Neither of them could read it. Then it spoke again. First link established, 2 remain. Alex pointed at it. See. That's how you start a galactic treasure hunt. Celari exhaled. I need to inform the council. If the prism has selected you, it may mean others, artifacts, sites, ancient machines, are waking too. Can we not wake any machines unless they're friendly and preferably slow-moving? She gave him a look that suggested he should perhaps save his sarcasm for less apocalyptic moments. But there was something in her expression that wasn't disdain, it was fascination. You make light of danger, she said. It is odd but useful. It's either that or cry into my shirt. She turned and began walking out of the vault. Alex followed, glancing back at the prism once more. It was still, for now. He couldn't help himself. You think the pineapple thing is jealous? From somewhere behind the walls, something growled. He picked up the pace. So this is safe, Alex said, already regretting the words as they left his mouth. I mean, mostly safe. Like in a there's only a minor chance we'll be disintegrated kind of way. Queen Celari did not turn her head. No one has been disintegrated, not in recent memory. Comforting, your definition of recent is probably a few centuries though, right? She stopped, one hand resting lightly on the sleek arch of a portal frame etched with violet circuitry. Beyond it, a chamber pulsing with soft cyan light, filled with columns of floating crystalline cubes and a humming atmosphere that made the hairs on Alex's arms stand up like they'd been individually insulted. This is the Nexus Archive, Celari said. You will not find this on any official map. Most in the Dominion don't know it still exists. Then maybe we shouldn't be poking it, Alex suggested. There are entire Earth movies about this exact setup. Step 1, you find the mysterious hidden room. Step 2, the mysterious hidden room finds you back. The Queen gestured him forward with the calm authority of someone who was completely used to mortals panicking around her. The second artifact is stored here, a living one. It responds to resonance, biofrequency alignment. If you are indeed what the prism claims, it will wake. Living artifact, Alex echoed, not moving. See, that sounds way too much like feral data gremlin to me. But his feet took him forward anyway. Because he knew, at this point, refusing meant more guards, more arguments, and possibly more Ilari psychometric probes. And he'd really had enough of those for a lifetime. The last one had diagnosed him with a mild case of existential untidiness. As they entered the chamber, he noticed the temperature drop slightly. The cubes began to rotate, orbiting invisible axes, emitting faint chimes in seemingly random intervals. Alex reached out toward one. "I wouldn't," Celari began. Too late. The cube flicked downward like a scolded puppy and released a soft, as if offended. Then it slowly returned to its orbit. Alex held up his hands. Okay, my bad, just browsing." She led him to the center of the chamber, where a pillar of translucent material shimmered faintly. Encased inside was what appeared to be a sphere wrapped in impossibly fine filaments, pulsing with soft light, like a heartbeat. "This is the Evox seed," Celari said. "We found it in the wreckage of the Sky Mind array during the 5th eclipse of Yelorin. No record of its creator. It has resisted all attempts at activation." Alex raised an eyebrow. "You guys have a very loose interpretation of the word seed." "It's not meant to grow," she said. "It's meant to merge." He took a step closer. The filaments within the seed shifted, like strands of light weaving and unweaving through air. "So what do I do? Introduce myself, offer it a drink?" "Touch it." "Right, of course. Touch the ancient alien merge thing, because that always ends well." He reached out slowly. The air around the sphere seemed to pull at his fingertips, not like suction, but magnetism layered with intent, like the object was curious, impatient even. His fingers brushed its surface. Everything stopped. Light filled the room. Not brightness, but a presence, pressing softly into every part of him, like standing in the middle of a sound wave. Images flooded his vision, not as pictures but impressions. A tower collapsing in slow motion under a red sky. Thousands of silver-winged machines lifting off from a dead world. A great tree, hollow and burning, surrounded by singing voices. And then a face. Not a Lari, not human, something in between. Familiar and alien at once. Anchor node acquired. Thread alignment at 43%. A voice not his, not Celari's, inside him. Mechanical but warm, initiating symbiosis protocol. Alex's knees buckled. Link confirmed. Anchor bonded. Subnode query Alex Rahan. He flinched. "Hey, no need to yell inside my skull, thanks." Celari stepped forward. "It's speaking to you. Sort of, it knows my name. Which is unsettling, considering I didn't give it my business card. Designation logged, connection stable, Phase 2 pending." "Do I want to know what Phase 2 is?" Silence. Celari studied him. "This is unprecedented. The Evox seed was inert for 1,000 years. Nothing we did could awaken it. Until now." Alex sighed. "So let me guess. I'm now the proud host of a semi-sentient light spider that lives in my circulatory system." "That is a deeply inaccurate metaphor." "Yeah, but you can't deny it sounds accurate." The cubes in the chamber began to spin faster, harmonizing into a soft drone. Something was shifting in the archive. Celari turned, her voice sharp. "Something else is activating." "Oh good," Alex said. "Nothing like an ancient vault waking up all at once." The room vibrated. The light dimmed. Then one of the cubes broke from orbit and shot toward the far wall, impacting it with a flash. A doorway appeared, previously sealed, now glowing with the same filament patterns that had wrapped around Alex's arm. He pointed. "I didn't touch that, just for the record." The voice returned. "Secondary node aligned, pathway open. Proceed to Ascension Relay." Celari stared at the door. The Ascension Relay is a myth. It's a theoretical construct described in our oldest texts, a map to lost Ilari cities, realms disconnected from our modern network. "Great," Alex muttered. "You've got hidden cities, I've got alien jewelry, and now we're being given directions by the world's most cryptic GPS." The voice cut in again. "Time vector collapsing, delay inadvisable, proceed." Alex hesitated. "Time vector collapsing, that can't mean anything good." Celari stepped forward. "If the relay has opened, it means more than a map. It means a bridge between forgotten systems, abandoned colonies, places we assumed were destroyed." He shook his head. "So this thing's not just unlocking my DNA, it's rewriting the route map of your entire civilization." She gave him a long, unreadable look. Do you understand now why this matters? I do, he said. I just wish the important parts didn't always come with flashing lights, mind invasions, and weird skin sensations. You are handling this better than expected, she admitted. I'm in a constant state of denial. It's like a vacation from panic. They stepped toward the new portal. The light flared and the room hummed as the doorway began to dissolve into fractal spirals of data. Alex looked down at his arm again. No marks, no burns. Just the quiet presence of something new, watching, waiting. Okay, he said. Ascension relay sounds harmless. Behind them, the vault cubes began shifting again. Somewhere deep in the archive, something else was waking up. Please, he muttered. Let it not have more filaments. The relay pulsed once, and opened. Alex Rahan never got used to doors that unfolded themselves into spirals of quantum latticework. The moment he and Celari stepped through the portal into the Ascension relay, he braced for a rush of light, noise, disorientation, maybe even an automated welcome jingle. Instead, there was silence. Not quiet silence, as if sound itself had been asked to wait outside. The relay wasn't a room or a station, but something stranger. A corridor stretched through layered space, every surface shimmering with shifting maps, lines of alien code and flickers of long-lost stars. Above and below them, fractal paths spiraled off in directions that defied physics or good architectural taste. It was beautiful. It was impossible. Naturally, Alex said the only thing that came to mind. I feel like I just walked into a screensaver designed by a sentient crystal. Celari gave him a sideways glance. This is a relay of thought, not construction. It is not meant to be navigated in the physical sense. Then what's walking us through it? Our unresolved trauma. She tilted her head slightly, possibly. They moved forward, their steps making no sound. The Evox seed, now settled beneath Alex's skin, pulsed gently, guiding them toward what it called the final locus. Along the walls, ghost-like projections flickered to life. Scenes of cities that never made it into history, people who looked Alari but whose eyes glowed like stars, and artifacts like the Telenar core and the seed, connected in luminous networks. At one point, a projection of a small child ran across the corridor, laughing, then vanished. Alex froze. Was that? Celari shook her head. A memory echo. The relay stores impressions, not all of them are benign. As if on cue, a darker shimmer slithered across the wall behind them, a ripple of something watching. Alex took a careful step closer to Celari. Tell me that was just a memory of a harmless, misunderstood cosmic horror. No, right, thought I'd ask. They finally reached a central chamber, less a room, more a convergence point of spatial intentions. In the middle floated a shape unlike the others. Not a seed, not a prism, a ring. Smooth, dark, etched with moving starlight. It hovered silently, waiting. The Evox flared beneath Alex's skin. Anchor reached, integration pending, begin convergence. Alex looked at Celari. This is the part where I become one with the artifact and either unlock universal peace or explode into a fine mist, isn't it? She didn't answer immediately. Then, with unusual softness, you've already done more than any of us imagined. If the relay responds to you, it will be because you chose to carry it forward. Alex approached the ring. You'd think for a hyper-advanced artifact, it would come with an instruction manual. Instructions are within, the voice answered unhelpfully. He reached out. The ring drifted toward him. As his fingers made contact, it split into strands of light that wrapped around his hand, his arm, then across his shoulders like a cloak. The energy wasn't hot or cold, it was understanding. A weightless, enveloping recognition. The chamber reacted instantly. A pulse surged through the relay. Every map on the walls lit up with sudden clarity. The once flickering cities now burned with vivid color, each marked with new coordinates. Lost colonies, broken link nodes. Dormant structures, dozens, hundreds. Celari stepped forward, stunned. This is the original Ilari lattice, the whole interstellar web. We believed only fragments remained. The voice came again, clear and strong through the relay. Network repaired, legacy bridges unlocked, all bloodlines aligned, initiating final synthesis. Alex blinked. Wait, synthesis. You should really warn people before initiating those. But it was already happening. A cascade of images, emotions, and genetic memory poured through him, memories that weren't his, but felt like old dreams returning. His mind expanded with every thread. A royal exile giving up their name to protect earthbound descendants. A war that fractured the Alari not just politically but spiritually. The creation of the Telenar, the prism, the seed, each a failsafe, each a key. And now, Alex, the convergence point, he stumbled, overwhelmed. Celari caught his arm. Hold on, just breathe. Breathing's optional when your brain is being upgraded like a late-night software patch. The ring reformed in his hands, now dull and solid. The relay pulsed one last time and all lights dimmed. The silence returned, but this time it felt whole. Celari spoke quietly. You've done it. Alex looked down at the ring. I have no idea what I've done. You restored our inheritance. More than that, you proved the bloodline didn't die. It evolved. I didn't even study for this. She looked at him. For once, not as a queen or diplomat, but just as someone who had been searching too long and finally found something unexpected. You never had to. They returned to Alari Prime days later, passing through secure wormspace corridors that no longer felt so distant. When the council assembled, Celari stood before them not as a ruler asserting power, but as a witness offering truth. She revealed the relay's maps, the lattice's restoration, and Alex's role in it all. Predictably, arguments erupted. Some wanted more tests. Others demanded isolation of the artifacts. One delegate, who appeared to be made entirely of nervous twitches and silk, declared Alex should be honorarily elevated to Class 4 political symbol, which Alex was pretty sure translated to glorified statue with security clearance. Through it all, Celari remained steady. She didn't plead or force. She simply presented. Then she asked Alex if he wanted to speak. He stood there in front of representatives from half the galaxy, cleared his throat and said, "Hi. I'm Alex. I used to be a systems engineer. I like bad coffee and forgetting to do laundry. Then I touched a space egg, bonded with an alien memory rock, and now apparently my DNA unlocks ancient star maps." Half the room stared. He went on. "I don't know what the future looks like. I just know what the past tried to erase. The Alari didn't die out. They changed. They tried to hide a piece of themselves in another species, not to vanish but to survive. That's me. That's maybe others out there too. So whatever comes next, I think we get to decide it together." A long silence followed. Then slowly, the Queen stepped forward and placed the reformed ring, the final artifact, on the central pedestal of the council hall. Its surface lit up in 3 interwoven symbols, the prism, the seed, and the core. "Let the record reflect," Celari said, "that history has been restored by something it never expected, connection." Over the following weeks, the Dominion began opening its lost archives. The first hybrid city node was established between Terran and Alari engineers. Schools formed programs to study the relay. New science grew from old myths. Even the Alari military grudgingly admitted that maybe, the human habit of cracking jokes in tense situations was a survival mechanism worth studying. Alex declined a formal title, mostly because he didn't want to attend endless galas, but also because he knew he hadn't done this alone. He stayed on Alari Prime for a while, helped with translations, avoided anything labeled artifact, ate suspiciously crunchy food, occasionally gave lectures. His favorite by far was the one where a young Alari student asked him if sarcasm was a Terran combat strategy. "Yes," he said, "and it's highly effective." Celari visited often. Not as a monarch, not always. Sometimes she showed up just to walk the gravity gardens and argue about Terran music theory. They debated the merits of jazz for 2 hours once, ending in a mutual agreement to disagree and shared noodles from a vending machine that had gained sentience and demanded tips. One evening, as stars pulsed in lazy spirals above the city, she asked him, "Do you still think you were just an accident in all this?" He shook his head. "No, I think I was a mystery someone left behind on purpose. Maybe to finish something they couldn't." She nodded. "You have done more than finish something, Alex. You began something else." He smiled. "Well, I'm just glad it didn't end with me exploding." "You still might," she said casually, "if you ever try to touch the archive's pineapple again."